Bohemian Rhapsody for Alcaraz. It comes out and everyone's just like, yes, oh my God, and he, there he is. He's just blowing kisses or something. Just like, you could just see Alcaraz playing to that song really well.
And welcome to another edition of the Best Three Podcast. I'm Alvin, and I'm joined by Patrick Parr once again, author, historian, tennis fanatic. Pat, how you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm doing great. How you doing?
I finally got some rest. We're recording this post U.S. Open, a couple days after the U.S. Open, and I feel like my body crashed last night. So it's good to feel like a human again, for sure.
Yeah. You were able to go there, I guess, for a bit, right? So
made it over for that would have been the Thursday, Friday of the middle Thursday, Friday. So like day 4, day 5, something like that. I saw Novak play against Cam Norrie. I saw Taylor Townsend and Mira Andreeva, and a little bit of Venus here and there, Musetti. Yeah, I saw some really good players, less so good matches, if you will.
I feel like whenever Novak plays Norrie, it's almost like a performance more so than a competitive match. But would you say that match was actually competitive? I know the scoreline always looks slightly, oh, wow, that was a, good back and forth. But I feel like Novak has total control psychologically, just throughout the entire, over Norrie. Every time I see him play, I just feel like Novak's just, okay, well, I'll let you go here. I'll let you go there, but
I agree with you, and I guess that's almost like the backdrop of why we decided to get together again. It's like Novak is only going to put forth the necessary level of effort for the opponent that he's playing against, and someone like a Cam Norrie requires like a little more, but not like a ton. And I say that's not to reduce like Cam Norrie or any other professional tennis player that is on the ATP tour or aspiring to be on the ATP tour, but like Cam played an amazing second set against Novak, and I was like watching it, and I was like, man, Cam can't play any better than this. Like I know he can't, and I think Novak knew he couldn't either and couldn't sustain that level for that long. And that's about what happened. Novak is he's a gift, but luckily he is not the reason for which we are gathered today. That's
indeed, yeah.
As a little preview. Like if you've made it this far on the podcast, then obviously you're aware by the title that we're gonna talk a little bit about Carlos and Jannik. And the last time, Pat, you were here, this was, I think, post French Open final, and we were all on this kind of haze of what the hell just happened to us as tennis fans, and now we've been treated to, this is the third straight Grand Slam edition of that on the trot. So I think I reached out to you maybe a couple weeks ago, maybe during the US Open or before, because I had been made aware of Giri Nathan's book called Changeover. And so kind of high level Changeover talks about the history of the I almost said Nadal, of the Alcaraz and Sinner rivalry from 2022 US Open up until, I think the book goes through the end of 2024. Was that right?
Yep, that's right. Yep. Yes, okay. It does.
And so that's I thought it was very auspicious. One, like having just read Chris Cleary's book on Nadal, and I'd read his Federer book too. He wrote both of those like at the end of their careers, right? And which forces an author to take a certain path. But this one is like, it almost feels like these guys have finished their first chapter or two of their rivalry, and a book has been produced. So I'll stop there. I know you've read the whole thing, and as an author, I wanted to get your standpoint, your position on the book, the existence of the book, and then we'll kind of dip into the nature of the rivalry of that beast.
Yeah, let's start with the existence of it. Of course, I don't think Nathan was saying to himself as he's writing the book, all right, this is going to appear, and then they're going to be in the finals for 3 straight. I strongly doubt that Nathan had any sort of plan for that. So of course he is enjoying this timeliness of the book, and I just want to say up front, it is incredible read. I feel like Nathan has such incredible descriptions. I want to share a few of the phrases that he used
Yeah, please do.
for some of the players. I don't know. I don't know if you want to do this in a way that's a little bit impromptu. I didn't, but I was
No,
going
I
to give
mean
you.
if it speaks to you, then like go ahead and go for it, and we can go
Well,
from there.
Well, I thought maybe the listeners might enjoy, like, I'll say the phrase and you can kind of think of a player who matches that phrase. It's a phrase that Nathan used in the book. And there are these, uh, one of them I liked, this player, by the way, all these players are 21st century. This is not like, I'm not going way back or anything. Nathan stayed more in the now. The first one is, a soulful Colossus. A soulful
Soulful
Colossus.
Colossus.
I thought it was just so well done. I got a
I
lot
can't.
of these,
I
so
yeah.
yeah.
I can't. I don't know. I don't have it. I don't have it.
That's okay. It's Del Potro. Del Potro. Juan
Ooh.
Martin Del
Okay.
Potro. I thought,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
no
That
doubt.
works.
Yeah, I see that.
I almost thought
Uh,
Musetti, but like too big to be Colossus. Like Musetti's
yeah.
not big enough to be Colossus, so Delpo makes sense.
This next one's real tough, but he used the word crotchety to describe this guy. Crotchety, like somebody who just kind of
Like
ambles or
Andy Murray.
boom, you got that quick.
There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
There
yeah.
we go.
That's
I'm
it.
dialed
That's
in
it.
now. Here we go. Here we go.
All right, all right. So we got a couple more. Let's see. Oh, this one. Okay. Just rolled out of bed. Just rolled out of bed. So
Like
somebody.
disheveled, kind of
Right.
like Medvedev, maybe.
No. This one's a little older school. Like somebody who's
Oh, okay.
and he always has a bit of a, you know, some 5 o'clock shadow rolling.
Like Gasquet.
So you're in the right world. You're in the right region, but not the
Okay,
right.
give
Yeah.
it. Go ahead and give it to me.
All right. That's Stan. That's Stanimal. So
Oh, okay, okay,
no doubt.
okay.
I don't know. You
Yeah,
all right?
yeah.
Can I keep going on these? Or
Give me one more. Give me one more.
all right, one last one. Okay. Let's see. Well, I think this one is like aloft on his own cloud, and aloft on his own cloud. That was a really good phrase. This one's tough, but yeah.
I'm gonna go
It's-
with
yeah.
Italian. Is he Italian?
No, but I think I know who you're thinking, but not that guy. No. But anyway, I'll tell you. It's all right.
Maybe
It's your
Monfils.
not. It's your guy. It's your guy. It's Federer.
Oh,
He's
Moose.
call
It is Fed.
he's calling him Fed. Yeah. So seemed to never sweat was another one. I should have added that one. That would have given
Yeah,
it
that would have been
away.
the
But
that would have been the one right there. That would have been right there.
the point is, every player that Nathan brings up in this book, he seems to personify them in such a way that is, you feel like Nathan was right there. And he even in the book, he talks briefly about how he walks with Federer, and he only had like a couple minutes with him. And he says, "Oh, I went down the hallway and then I turned right,
And
and
then
then
he
I
made a right turn. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yes." And I thought, wow, this guy loves the game. He is plugged in, and yeah, the book all goes all the way through into then Sinner and Alcaraz, who we can start talking about. I love the background, the way he sets it up. And I forgot that. Yes, I knew Sinner was a skier, and I know that's where he gets a lot of that inertia for his ground strokes. But I didn't know Djokovic. I'd forgotten that he skied as well. So
Yeah, I mean, that was one of those
yeah,
like the Sinner skiing thing. I think was talked about a lot when it almost feels like
right,
the beginning part of Sinner's career before he became this Sinner. And then the same thing with Djokovic, but like that was so long ago that it doesn't even get brought up much. So I was kind of going through the book this the last few days as well, and I even
yeah,
went, oh yeah, I forgot Novak was a skier too. And then all kind of like starts to make sense. But like I mentioned earlier, like when I was first made aware of the book, I was taken aback a little bit. Like, it seems early for something like this. And you can look at it from two directions. Like, most of these books get written after the career, and then once the career is over and you have this huge body of content to work with, I would imagine then as an author, you have to pick a story that you want to tell and then pull in all the artifacts from this player's career to tell that story. And like with Federer, you could probably tell 3 or 4 different stories, and then pull along the artifacts as they make sense. But it almost seems like here, we're moving from the album version of book writing to the playlist version of book writing, where like I'm gonna this is what I got so far. We're gonna kind of just like put this together ad hoc, and maybe in 15 years he's got 4 or 5 books and they look like a playlist at that point. What's your read on that?
Yeah, I understand that, and I feel like, what if this year had not gone the way it did? Like, what if in the finals we're getting Zverev and Medvedev playing each other, or the next generation actually does come to the top, and in that way,
Sure.
changeover would look like, what is that doing here? That hasn't happened yet, right? That would be premature. But the fact that we've had these 3 classic finals, I think now it validates the book's existence, and I do think it's a way for Nathan to show just how, I think he saw the pattern, he saw the trajectory, in a way that I think a lot of us were sensing it, and he went for it and started that. He probably started that book right after that 2022 match that he talks about a lot, the one
Yep.
in the US Open one. I think in that way, he's getting rewarded. That's it, bottom line. But I do think when you and I, when we were watching Nadal, with those capri pants, and that long hair and pulling that wedgie, all that stuff, and then you got and then you got Federer on the other side. When they were playing right at the beginning, you could sense a little bit that, oh, this is going to be around for a while. These two, but did we know they were going to dominate? I don't know. I don't know how you feel about
Well, I mean, luckily, like, because of it's natural to juxtapose Federer Nadal against Alcaraz and Sinner, for obvious reasons. But I think the slight differences do make the two rivalries unique enough, in that Federer being a good bit older than Nadal and was the dominant player on tour when Nadal arrived. I think that's key. Like Sinner Carlos had only won, I believe, 1 or 2 Grand Slams, but he was not dominant. He was good, great, but not dominant when Sinner, like especially in 2022 when let's take it to that point. In 2022 when they met in the U.S. Open, Carlos ended up winning that tournament. That was his first Grand Slam. So you can kind of see like they're more or less taking off at the same time, as true rivals arriving at the same time.
right.
And I think with that being the case with Federer and then Nadal arriving and Nadal's style being so unique, I think that was the salient thing that drew everyone, both fans and players, to Nadal. Like, oh, we've never seen anything like this before, and this is going to be a problem moving forward. And it was a problem for Federer right away.
No doubt. Yeah. And you're making a really good point. Federer was established. Nadal comes in and says, I'm in your kingdom too. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to steal some of your thunder. And you could even begin to, the people who are really into tennis, they were starting to see, wow, so Nadal is definitely patterning his game to attack that Federer one-handed backhand on the high side. So that was so clear to see. And then you could even tell a layman, like a person who's never watched tennis, and like, what are you watching? Like, well, watch Nadal. He's gonna hit that forehand. It's gonna bounce up real high, and Federer's just gonna keep it shorter and shorter and shorter until Nadal can take control of the point. Or
Right.
Federer is going to be able to turn it around and make it into something else entirely. So in that way, you could see this dynamic play at a very fundamental level. Whereas I think with Alcaraz and Sinner, you're making the perfect point, just equal right now. But I think with what just happened a couple days ago with Sinner saying that he was too predictable, wow,
Yeah.
that was telling. That was real telling.
Yeah. Those
Mm,
both of their post-match press conferences, and probably more so Sinner's, they were both very candid about,
yeah,
where what happened after Wimbledon. And, Carlos, as Cam said, they went away for like 15 days, and just like we need to focus on what can we take from that loss and how do we prepare moving forward. And then it showed up. I mean, he's been playing. Carlos has had a fantastic summer. I mean, eight straight finals, right?
yeah,
He's had a fantastic year, and it's obviously
mm,
showing up. He's number one in the world right now, with
yeah,
two slams to his name. Um, but yeah, Center takeaway was like, yeah, I was too predictable. I need to get better. And we're talking about like a guy who just won 2 Grand Slams as well. Like, he needs to
yeah.
get better, because they are at this point where they are truly pushing each other and forcing incremental changes and improvements out of one another. And they're just the result of that is they're leaving the rest of the tour in their wake right now.
They are.
It's
They are.
it's crazy to watch. It is absolutely crazy to watch.
I
But I want to kind of go back to that
yeah,
2022 Open
sure.
for a second. And the part that you mentioned about Federer and Nadal, and like the way you could explain it to
Mm,
a non,
yeah.
tennis nerd when you're
Mm,
watching it play, because it's somewhat very obvious. I think the difference between the two players, between Sinner and Alcaraz, is it's not overly obvious. It's not obvious. They're doing a lot of the same things. They're sliding, they're hitting, they're doing everything kind of out of this world. But the thing about them that makes them so attractive is that they play tennis differently than everyone else plays tennis. And I remember that 2022 US Open match. I watched it myself, but I also remember the online discourse of that match, as like attention for that match was growing on
mm.
Twitter as the match was going on, and from non-tennis people were chiming in like, is anyone watching this US Open match? Like, these guys look like they're doing something that's not tennis. And I think that's another, oddly enough, that's the same thing that happened in the 2025 French Open final. Like, the lore of the match like hit the zeitgeist while the match was happening, which
That's
brought
it.
more people to the match.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the 2022 match, and Nathan brings it up in the book real well. But I think that was something where alchemy was happening, right? There were both sides. You're watching like Alcaraz is something different, and Sinner, how is he hitting the ball? And Nathan has a couple descriptions too. Like, and it sounds like when you hear Sinner's ball live, it sounds like a car backfiring or like some sort of a almost like a shotgun blast, right? I maybe you've heard it. I have yet to hear it live, but
It
um,
is it is something to behold. I was actually in New York last round of qualies a couple years ago. It might have been 21, maybe 20, maybe 22. I can't remember which year. I was kind of on the back courts, like walking around the backside, and I could hear some pretty intense hitting going on. And I come up on this court, and it's Sinner and Fritz are practicing on an outside court. I guess that had to be 20. This had to be
okay,
22.
yeah,
Shit, what was
rough
that year?
year.
It had to be 22. But yeah,
Mm,
it's a different kind of like thwack, like two
yeah,
by
yeah.
four hitting a hard object kind of thwack.
You can hear that in the audience sometimes, especially when you rewatch some of the 2022 match that we're talking about. It was you would hear Sinner would hit a forehand. It would be it's just a basic down the line shot, but you'd hear like some of the front crowd go, "Oh," like there was a sound. What was that? And you're thinking that just went down the line, but the sound of it must have just boom, like comes off, and everyone's like, well, I haven't seen that before. So, but
Right.
this kind of plays into now. Here we are in 2025, and I feel like Sinner, all he's done is perfected that shotgun blast of a ground stroke on both sides. Whereas Alcaraz, you feel as if listen, I got this now. I've figured this out. I know the blunt force that you're trying to attack me with, and I'm absorbing it now. And not only am I absorbing it, I'm playing with it. And I have the
Yeah,
shots, and I have the shots to mess with your mind so that you feel like you have to do something different. But then now that you're
right.
improvising, you're in my world.
Yeah, and Carlos
So,
said that in his post match, was like, you know, I don't really. He said I don't really train specifically to beat Yannick, but like I've played him enough times. I know him. I've watched his matches. I enjoy watching him play, but I also I know what I'm getting myself into. So, um, I think you're right in that if we want to kind of look at both players' true skill sets, like Yannick is a, you know, the best of the best ball strikers on both wings, right?
absolutely.
He can find spots, you know, from the baseline. It's hard to say that anyone touches what he does right now. But Carlos has the ability to, not like you mentioned, absorb that, but then
He
also
does.
start to play with spins and shapes off of that ball to create opportunities for himself. I think it is a, while Sinner's game is a little more, I'm not going to use the term reliable because
Hmm.
previously mentioned 8 straight finals. I think Carlos is pretty reliable, but it's almost more
True.
straightforward. It's just that you can't really, most players can't do anything about it. But
Yeah.
Carlos has found a way to do something about it.
Well, that's
Yeah, I think
that's
it's the
what
best way to put it.
yeah, it's a great yeah. I feel what Sinner said, he's it's obvious that he needs to do that, but it's a huge ask for himself to say, okay, it's time for me to be more unpredictable when his forehand and backhand can beat 99.9% of all players almost at all times. Like with you think about Zverev and you think of the way he constructs a point, that just gets overwhelmed eventually by Sinner on a day on a B day, you know, like a day where he's just hanging out. I think any player just gets overwhelmed by Sinner because they can't practice his power, especially in a pressurized situation. They can't practice that. But with Alcaraz, he's practicing that power in these finals, and not only I'll talk. I want to talk a little bit about Alcaraz and the crowd a little later, but Alcaraz is now in the environment where he's getting used to this ball while a captive audience is watching, and that empowers him even more to understand what he's doing. So
So you're I think you're leaning into like it's a difference. There's obviously a difference in practice versus matches, and there's a difference between first round matches and Grand Slam finals. So the ability to, like, what both of those players do, playing these high tempo rallies at such high stakes, like you can't really get used to doing that if you don't ever do that. Right. Like, one, like most players don't have the pace to keep up with Sinner, or nor the speed to keep up with like the rallies at that tempo, and then the endurance to then do it, you know, point after point, to
right.
then be able to adjust to what it takes to do that. It's very, I guess it's maybe it's hard to, it's very nuanced. It's almost slightly meta, but um
Yeah.
they're almost created for one another.
I think so. Yes, I saw where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're absolutely created for one. I mean, and now they have no choice but to kind of parallel each other into this probably into their 30s for all we know. I mean, but
So
I yeah.
let me let me no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Well, no. The point I'm saying is if Sinner can adapt, the big if is if Sinner can change his game. I don't know if I see that yet. I don't know if I see in Sinner a capability that say Djokovic had when he was trying to adapt his game in all ways with Nadal and Federer right there above him. There he was, but he did have a blueprint to look up to. Whereas with Sinner and Alcaraz, you almost feel like it's all impromptu. Like, okay, Alcaraz just did that. Now I've got to do this. But I can't see what this. That's why I'm me. I'm not them. But I can't see what Sinner can do now that will disrupt Alcaraz at this point. I just can.
So
So
that's a good point. Like when we think about the big three, right? And I'm not leaving Andy Murray out up for any specific reason. Let's just focus on the big three because that's all
that's all
the
right.
space I have right
Yeah.
now. Fed hit the tour and did Fed things and got out to this huge like start 2005, 2006. And then when Nadal entered the scene, you could see that it's his lefty forehand going to Fed's high backhand. That was the
Right.
neutralizing power. That's the neutralizing aspect here. It's the left-handedness and the high RPMs to the one-handed backhand. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then so you take that strength of Nadal's, and then you enter Djokovic, who has a two-handed backhand and can then cut off that ball and take it down the line.
Right.
Okay, weapon neutralized, and now it's very fine margins between the three of them, because we kind of
It's a
got
stamina competition, right?
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
now we have three players who do no one, and then like yes, you're forcing evolution in that space, but no one has a clear advantage. No one has a clear advantage. Um, but all players, I think maybe Novak might be excluded, had a clear disadvantage to some
Mm.
somewhere in there. I'm not sure I believe in that. But with these two players, it's not as clear cut. It is the margins are very, very, very thin, like razor thin. And I don't like I kind of I agree with you in the instance that I don't know how much change Novak. I mean,
Mm.
pardon my Novak. Yeah, say 40 and slip there. That Sinner can make. Because we're talking about like they're already battling for the number one spot here. But then also I think about something that Tori has mentioned prior.
Okay.
Players will change. Like they're still early in their careers, they will change. They haven't even hit their peaks yet. So
Mm.
I have, even though I can't see it, I think it will happen. But then again,
Right.
they're both in the same boat. They both have plenty of space in front of them.
I I think about Sinner's flexibility. I think about the way he strikes a ball and how much that has to change in order for there to be variety to that. It's with Alcaraz, you feel like there's so much margin when he hits that forehand. He could hit it at with his body a little bit further away from the ball than say with Sinner, who always has this actualized position when he connects. And I feel with Sinner, it's more to me. I think if I had to predict like what he would change quickly for the Australian
Mm-hmm.
Open, for example, it would be to shorten the points. It would be to use that blunt force and to get to the net and finish the point. I don't think it is to stay in the back and let Alcaraz play. Basically, I think Sinner. If I'm not too good at predicting strategy that has not happened yet, but I do think if Sinner might have a chance, if Australian Open courts will have a faster surface, if he goes to the net and tries to finish a point early for Alcaraz to not have a chance to play the way he can off of his ball. But then also he's giving him a target, so I'm already arguing with myself as to
Well, I'm gonna back you up there, and I hadn't really considered it, but there has been a profile of player that has had more success against Alcaraz, and that has been your taller players like your Zverevs and your Medvedevs
yeah,
on hard
true.
courts when they're
Mm,
willing to when they serve well and they're willing to attack him. You'll see extraordinarily high net points played from those players in the matches that they do well against Carlos. So I'm talking, um, there was an in Australian Open 2024, I think Alcaraz lost to Zverev.
okay, right, right.
Medvedev beat him at the U.S. Open maybe in the same year, kind of doing the same thing. So
Mm,
I think there's something to that, but there's also that would be a bit of a adjustment for Yannick, like which is I think what you're alluding to and what he's alluding to as well. Like I'm gonna have to do something different because if I get locked into what I'm doing here, it seems like he's obviously adjusted. I'm gonna
mm,
raise I'm gonna raise this to you.
okay.
Since the beginning of 2024, when Sinner won his first. So that's kind of the wild thing, right? We're talking about a 2-year sample here of these guys.
Mhm.
Sinner won his first major in 2024 Australian Open, right? So that's where we are. We're 8 majors in, 2 years in, right? So it's still pretty new.
Yeah.
They've played 8 times since the beginning of 2024. Do you know what the record is in their 8 matchups since the beginning of 2024?
4-4 or 5-3. 4-4 or 5-3. I'm gonna go 4-4, but it may. Yeah, I'll go 4-4. How am I
Head to
doing?
head,
Yeah,
Alcaraz 7-1.
7-1. Oh my lord!
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Now you could say that's an arbitrary cutoff point. So let's go back to 2023. It's 8-3 since the beginning of 2023. So 4-1, and even just in this year, it's 4-1 Alcaraz. So like, what we're talking about here is I think the argument has been Carlos having some voyages through the forest to get to these matchups, and
Yeah.
Sinner has been getting there, right? Sinner finaled all 4 Grand Slams this year. He met Alcaraz in 3 of them. The other one, Alcaraz did not make the final. But when they meet, now granted, there's been a couple of auspicious turns here, right? Like obviously the
Mhm.
French Open was, it was what it was. There were match points, so on and so forth. Their matchup at Cincinnati, it counts, but there was a
Yeah.
retirement in there. You could
Right.
even say their matchup in Rome, like Sinner's first tournament back.
Mhm.
Probably not Rome. Was it? Was it Rome? Yeah, it was Rome. First tournament back.
Yes. Yes.
That was maybe you don't want to count that one, but whatever. They played the match. It was 6-1. But
There it is. Yeah.
over the course of time, things happen in all of the matches. But in these matches, the thing that most likely happens is actually Carlos winning.
You know, I can I ask can I ask that back to you? Are you starting to feel like this is not a rivalry anymore? Do you feel like that this is starting to uh Sinner's become he became predictable a while ago, let alone the Wimbledon final, which may have just been emotional hangover from the French Open for Alcaraz, perhaps. I don't know, but
Maybe, yeah,
it's
maybe.
I don't know, but in a way, I mean, if we're going in this direction, here we are thinking that because there I was breaking down Sinner. Oh, he's got to go to the net, and that'll change everything. But if it's 7-1, wow,
Right.
that's
Like
that's a
so
big
then
number. Yeah,
it is a big number.
yeah.
And I think it's when you start talking about like the way that Carlos talked or spoke after the Wimbledon final, and this is maybe indicative of their rivalry or their matchup. Carlos said, I'm not going to win all of them. I'd never expected to win all of them." And even at that point, I think he was 5-0 in Grand Slam finals, and he had just beaten Sinner. But he's like, yeah, in our rivalry, I'm not going to win all the matches. I'm going to lose some, and
Mm,
that's
mm,
okay. Neither one of them seems overly at this point overly concerned with. They're not afraid to lose to one another. They really enjoy playing one another for the sake of they know the other one brings the best out of them, and they truly want to. They've hit this like level of self-actualization at such young ages. Like nothing else really matters except for trying to be the best player I can be, and I can only be the best player I can be when I'm playing against this person over there. So money, ranking points, none of it matters. All of it's all there. It's
right.
just how good can I be? How
Yeah,
perfect can I be?
and I feel that their fear is far more with, can I get to this guy, or am I going to lose to some guy who doesn't deserve to be there? I think the fear of losing to the field is probably much greater at this point for them than uh, facing each other. I feel like when I saw Djokovic play, you and Tori talked about that, and well, with Alcaraz, like the passing of the torch and all that. I mean, we've passed the torch like 5 times at this point, but I feel, I feel, with the way Djokovic, just his post match interview, just conceding, essentially that his greatest skill or his greatest asset, stamina and physical endurance, just can't hang with these two guys anymore. I mean, that was, for a guy who loves Djokovic, as I do, that was pretty demoralizing to hear, because I thought, yeah, okay, well, it sounds like you're cooked, man. It sounds like
which is
yeah.
which is
Hmm.
such an interesting position we're in, because Djokovic, while playing like a rather pedestrian schedule, is still the third best player in the world. Um,
This is true.
and
This
the
is true.
and the only person that, like, general, like, he's four straight semifinals, like, in Grand Slams. He's getting there, and
He is.
he's running into these two guys and having an issue like that these two guys are keeping him from being able to, you know, get to finals or being in position to actually win these tournaments. So we're in this interesting space where, and I'm coming back to the rivalry question you asked earlier.
Yeah.
It's these two, gap, Djokovic, big gap,
Big
everyone
gap.
else.
Yep.
So the rivalry, I mentioned the 7-1 current standing record between the two of them, which makes it seem a lot less like a rivalry. I think the third player in this rivalry is actually history.
Okay. Yeah.
They are
Yeah.
they are they are in there. It's a little early. I don't want to call out like the race, like we used to talk
Hmm.
about, like the race for
I'm
these
in the
for the big.
yeah.
Yeah, the big three were racing to, who was going to finish with the most Grand Slams, who was going to break Pete's record, and then who was going to get to 20, and then when Roger finished, like, who was going to pass Roger's 20, and then, like, Novak trying to put it up in the stratosphere, like that Grand Slam race. But I think at this point, because it's been done and now it's something that
Hmm.
they have to chase, that's what they're chasing, and they just have to go through one another to get there. And therefore, I think it seems to be more of an issue for Jannik at this point than it probably is for Carlos. Meh,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
might be a
no,
little early to say that, but
no, I'm with you on 100% on that. I'm trying in my head, because I love thinking about the dynamic of these two and how they just keep making each other better. But I'm also thinking about, I am thinking long term, because we can, right? I mean, that this is the fun part of tennis, is here we are in the middle of a rivalry, thinking, this is going to the end of the decade. That's 20 more slams, right? So in that
wow,
period,
yeah,
right? In that period, these 5 years, you can't really even talk about age yet. They're By the end of this decade, they're still in their 20s. They're still
yeah.
there. And
They say a
and
professional tennis player peaks between like 26 and 28. Like, Carlos is
that's about
22
right.
and Yannick's 24. So we
Yeah.
haven't yet gotten there. And in 20 slams, we will then be there. So what do we have in 2030, which feels like a long time from now, but it's not?
Right. There it's not. There was a there was a point when I was watching Alcaraz like a couple years ago, and I just thought, okay, got it. So this guy's going to be a sprinter. He's going to get all these grand slams early on, but he's not going to be able to adapt his game, and he's going to wear down. He's going to wear down. Bad example, but I think you get my point. Like Chang, as he got
Okay.
older, you
Yep.
thought, okay, Chang's got the legs, but does he have that power and that adaptability of game in order to make a longer career? He still had an incredible career, but Grand Slam wise, it just didn't work. But I think in Alcaraz's case, I'm starting to see, I guess it's greatness, right? He's rising above what he used to be, which was, I thought, somebody who was just, I'm going to outrun, outstretch, and create these incredible shots. But when I get older, you're going to have all this recording of me, and you're going to get used to me. But he's still changing. He's still changing this year, and yeah, nobody can predict what Alcaraz will be in 2026. I don't see it. So he's proved me wrong. I thought he was going to flame out, to be honest with you, like this
Okay.
year. I did.
Well,
Like,
it
I'll be honest. Yeah.
It seems like, the potential for flame out is like, yeah, probably one that the way he was talking last year about having a tough time finding joy, and he also had some injuries, and some of them were overuse injuries, some of them were, he had the forearm issue with the pronation, and he got through it. And it seems like in this year, in 2025, he has found balance. There are tournaments that he
Mm,
has not played. There are things that he has chosen to take out. There are things that he's chosen to prioritize. Like, he's a big go home and spend time with family guy. So he's just like, all right, I'm not going to Madrid. I'm taking a break. Not going, like, after Wimbledon, he's like, I'm not coming over to North America to play
right.
Canada. We're gonna sit it out. We'll do one warm up event, and then
Yeah.
we go. So I think if I'm looking forward to 2026, like, what are the changes from 24 to 25? I
Mm,
think it's more so like, what have you seen in the last half of 25? Found a way to be safer. And I've said this in previous
it's a
podcasts.
good
It's
way to
like
put it.
efficiency meets excitement. Like, he has found a way
Mm,
to still be exciting the way he wants to be exciting, but he's realized that there will be plenty of opportunities to be exciting throughout the course of a match. He doesn't have to, like, increase his risk profile just to search for the fantastic. He can be solid, and his solid
right.
is good enough like 90% of the time. And then when
Mm,
someone, like, does hit a good shot into the corner and he's on the run. Yeah, now's the time to pull out the bag of tricks, or he's chasing down a drop shot, like, but he's not putting himself in those positions. He ends up in those positions. And I think those are
that's it.
that's very different. That saves him. He's serving much better. He's getting out of service games a lot easier. You're starting to see that. And that's just, I mean, what do we call that? That's just maturation, right?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
22.
Right.
He is a He's the age of a college senior. So, like, when I think about, like, my own collegiate career, my first 2 years I was a bit all over the place, and it wasn't until, like, my somewhere after my junior year did I realize, okay, this is who I am as a player, and this
Yeah.
is how I'm going to win matches, and that's how I'm going to play moving forward. We were, like, the same age at that time,
Right. Right. That's
which
right.
kind of
This is
weird.
true. It is. It is a bit. Yeah. Right. Well, I feel the same way. Like at 22, I think, oh yeah. When I was 22, oh, I have a serve now. Oh my
Right.
God. like
Yeah.
like I'm starting to. I've discovered some aspects, but yeah, Alcaraz is like, oh yeah, I'm maybe one of the best players in the history of the game already. Okay. Oh,
Yeah. So now proceed as such.
proceed as
Um,
such.
it's interesting. So I like the conversation now, and I don't know. Actually, when I talk about, like, the quote unquote conversation, I realize that I have a tennis podcast, so therefore this is part of the conversation. So I don't know if this is just in my head or if it's actually coming from other places, but I think it's coming from other places. The men's and women's games right now at the
Okay.
the ATP WTA level, as you juxtapose them to against one another, we have you know, we have greatness on the men's side at the very top two plus one, right? It, top two entering their prime, the third, career is waning. On the
True.
women's, and then there's nothing else after that. Not nothing else, but, like, there seems to be nothing to threaten those top players outside of, it's just Sinner and Alcaraz right now. So that leaves us talking a lot about them when we're talking about men's tennis. Whereas women's tennis, we do have two players who are, amassing a lot of Grand Slams between Iga and Arena, but we have constant competitors who are threatening, and not only threatening, winning Grand Slams. We had 4 different Grand Slams on the women's side in the last year. We've had 5 different American women in the finals of 5 straight Grand Slams. So, which is, I think they're both providing a different level of entertainment, but which one do you prefer? Which you think is more healthy for the game?
Ooh, that's a great question. On the women's side, I do feel that it's a little healthier right now, especially after this last Grand Slam. I feel I don't ever know who is going to make the final in on the women's side. Of course, you have favorites, but you never know how Iga's gonna come out and will she get that domination back at the French now that what's occurred? Like, can she go back and still be Iga, who was almost going toward like Nadal like levels of domination I felt at the French. Like every time you watched her
Right.
2 years ago at the French, you just thought, oh, this is so clear. Like she has that slide. She has the way she moves into the court and hits that ball before anything, before the other player can even get a plan. She had that going. So I felt women's tennis right now is probably at a better pace. I still feel like we talked about the last podcast though, that I do think they should explore longer matches, but that's just a hot take that's old. But the
I'm
but
not ready. I'm not ready to go back there right now.
don't
I'm not
let's
ready.
not do it. Let's not do that. But
Okay. Okay.
I think in right now though, the men's side, I do want to talk a little bit about Felix because
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's
I
talk about
think
Felix.
yeah, because I want to bring him up a bit because he came to Japan, where I'm at right now, and I went to the Japan Open and I watched him practice. And I didn't just watch him practice. I watched. He was maybe 3 feet away, hitting forehand, and the way he was hitting that, it was just a total explosion compared to all the other players I watched Tommy Paul, I watched Jerome, Arthur Fields, Pericard. I watched a bunch of these guys, but nobody could hit that the way Felix hits a ball. And then I always thought, wow, is he just incredible in practice? Because in the match, then he can't formulate a plan. But then I saw the plan. He was doing it here at the U.S. Open. It was the way he was dominating, and the way he would go into the court and take that ball now is
Hmm.
unreal. So I have hope, just a little bit of hope, that Felix might find himself in a position where he might cause an upset, one Grand Slam. He might just cause a fissure in this crack of an empire. But I don't know. Felix really showed something. I felt. I don't know if you guys have already talked about him quite a bit, but
We talked we talked about him, but I mean I think this is probably a better place to go in depth about the Felix Auger-Aliassime experience, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. I should
I
have said
very
the whole
similar to
thing.
you. I've seen Felix up close, and I remember this was 2019 Miami Open, and I mean you go all the way back to 2019, like Rublev qualified into that tournament, so that's like things change. 2019 was 6 years ago, but like when you put it into context, like it was that long ago. I think Felix
Yeah,
also qualified into that tournament. But I went in hopes to see him. Like I went first round, and I knew he was in qualies. I think I'd seen him maybe on TV earlier that year. I was like, I want to see this kid. And I was talking to a buddy, Kale Hammond. Kale, if you're listening, shouts to Kale. Um, it's a and even I think it was like the sound that ball makes. It's like thunderous,
mm,
like
mm,
thunderous. And like keep in mind this is very, very pre-Sinner, very pre-Alcaraz, right? These guys are
yeah,
basically in diapers at this point, right?
true.
17,
Yeah,
15, 17 years old. Oh, he was like the first version of them in that, like, this is a guy that can hit the ball really big. He moves extremely well. He seems to have this, I'd say, court presence, um, a willingness to come forward.
yeah,
And what we've seen from Felix in the last few years is just kind of, I would say he's stuck between game styles. He doesn't really seem to know when to be the player we saw this past week
that's right.
and when
Yeah,
to be a different version of that player, like one that is a little more erratic or a little less sure about what he wants to do on the tennis court. And I think, but that is the polarizing part about Felix, right? You when you
it
watch
is.
him play, you go, there's nothing wrong with this. This is very exciting. Big serve, good
Yeah,
size guy, big great mover. I mean, Courier called it out, like the one thing that he definitely needs to work on is his backhand does just not have enough pop on it. He's a little too wristy, which leaves him kind of, a little bit dead rights on that corner. But
True, true.
that's a minor that is fixable. That is
Yeah.
fixable. Like,
I
but
keep
besides
thinking,
that, like
yeah.
that doesn't say like that's the person that shouldn't be making quarterfinals of Grand Slams consistently.
That's right. I agree with that. I hope that that will occur at least in 2026. I feel like two quarterfinals on fast surfaces, probably hard. Maybe the Australian and the US, because he does start off the season pretty strong, almost always. But I keep thinking back to the U.S. Just what happened with him against Sinner, and that's such a good matchup for him because it's two guys just I'm gonna blast you off the court. No, I'm gonna blast you off the court, and the way those two just collide with each other. But then that backhand cross court that Sinner hit in the
Hmm.
third set that stops Felix. He's almost laughing, right? He says that what was that supposed to be that good? Because when I replayed that point several times, because to me I thought that point makes it a 5-set match right there. I mean, if it goes the other way, and but at the same time I thought feel like yeah that point happened, but keep it going, man, keep it going. I mean that's just like he was right there with Sinner. I felt that entire match, but yeah, this is the problem with the men's game. We were comparing it to women, right? To the women's game is I'm kind of pushing him into a place that probably he hasn't earned yet. Whereas, because Sinner and Alcaraz are so high at this point, they're just in the clouds. Whereas everybody, they're just on the ground looking up. So,
I think
I
maybe
don't
the
know.
issue there is not necessarily issue, but like the big difference is, I mean, Felix is 25, right? So
Yeah,
he is in the same cohort as Sinner, not necessarily Carlos by when they were in juniors and at what tournaments they would have been at together. So like Felix knows Yannick pretty well, and he has
true.
seen they've been on the tour at the same time, and he's seen him kind of take off. And so I feel like going into that match, I didn't get the feeling that Felix necessarily thought he was going to win that match. He thought it seemed like cause I mean, he got tuned up by him like a couple weeks ago. So like, I don't think he had a reason to feel like he was going to win that match. But
Right.
once they got into that first set, it was pretty lopsided on the scoreboard, but it was pretty close in tennis. And I
True.
think Felix started to go, wait a minute, I'm right here. Like I'm
Yeah,
right
that's
here.
it.
Now
Yeah.
that I'm in this, I'm playing well enough today, this and these last 2 weeks. I can hang. Like we can
Hmm.
do this. And then the match
Right.
became very competitive. But I think at that point you're reacting and you're trying to you're selling yourself belief during the match, and that's I think you're a little late. Where someone like a let's use Holger Rune, eh, maybe
Ah,
an Archer Feast, right? These
yeah,
guys, I'm not gonna say Rune. Let's say Feast. Feast goes into that matchup and he's like, he's so much younger than Yannick. He's like, I don't care, like whatever. Like I
yeah,
I have no reason to believe I can't beat you because I feel like I'm one of the best players in the world. And I think just having a little bit of distance is what is going to allow for a third player to inevitably like enter the conversation, which like we
that,
can't we can't go on forever like this.
yeah, yeah. Bill Simmons calls it. We need an irrational confidence guy. He always talks about
Mm-hmm.
like that guy who comes in and just like Marcus Smart or somebody who's like, I'm going to take over this game, and he has no business,
Right.
But I think we right now, in order for Sinner and Alcaraz to really get a new rival, we need some guy like Arthur Feast. That's a really good guy to bring up at this point. Just he's going to go in there and he's going to be like, oh, I got nothing to lose, and I know that I can even win this crowd over you. So I'm going to go
Right.
for it. And yeah,
It's an interesting place because like I was looking back at, okay, we've gone 2 years, 8 Grand Slams, and they split them evenly, right? But let's even just take that back. Two guys have won all of the last 8 Grand Slams, right? This also happened 2006, 2007, Federer and Nadal, right? Fed won 3 of 4 and then 3 of 4, and Nadal won the French Open in those 2 years, right? But in 2008, Fed wins 1, Nadal wins French, Novak wins 2, right? So there, even that duopoly was broken up after 2 years, right?
True.
I don't think we're sitting in the it would be wild if we were sitting in the same place at this time next year and we're talking about the same 2 guys have split the last 12 Grand Slams. Tennis doesn't need that.
No,
I don't think we
they
need that.
don't.
We don't want that.
No.
That's not what we want. But if it were to happen, who do you think would be the one to break it up?
Oh God, I've been thinking about this a while. For a while I thought Runa would come in and do it, but he just hasn't shown me much at all. Medvedev is,
Yeah.
like it or
Yep.
not, going to become a broadcaster soon. And sorry, Maddie, this is just I mean, I
That's
think
fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, speak from your heart.
You know, this is a wild idea. If Dimitrov, the way he played Sinner at Wimbledon and just conquered him until that Peck tour, I'd never seen that slice on a Wimbledon at a Wimbledon tournament like that. The way that slice cut through and just really skidded off that grass to such a point where if he can get back, but he's in his mid-30s at this point, we can't really call him a rival at this point. He's just somebody who might come in and say, hey, I'm still here, and have one good tournament. I would love to see him make a great comeback at Wimbledon. God, Alvin, I don't see anybody who really stands out at this point. I guess Shelton, right? I guess it's Ben.
Maybe a better way to look at it is, under what circumstance would someone else be able to meet one of them in the final? I think that's actually the question. So
that's measured. That's much more measured. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, like for someone to win the Grand Slam, there can't be 3 people in the final. Like, one of them has to not be there, right? One
and as
or
long as
both,
right? And as long as we have Djokovic still doing his semi runs, I mean, there you are. Outside those 3, you might have to play all 3 to win, right? I mean, that just might happen.
That's the problem. So I think the math kind of goes, it's probably, if it's next year, I think Novak has the best chance. But how is he going to get it done? He's going to have to get it done without having to play one of them. That's what it's going to have to come down to. And then, but then he's going to play the other one in the final. Like, and that just like that's not going to really work out for him. So I think the best case scenario is like neither of them get to the final. Something strange is going to have to happen where neither of them get to the final. And then it's probably Novak.
Then it is.
But he's not gonna be able to go through either of them at this point. And he's 4 in the world right now, so let's assume that holds up. He'll be a 4 seed. Like, he's not gonna meet them until the semis anyways.
Right.
It's a like I said, we can't continue to do this forever.
No.
Someone else is gonna pop in there.
This is it. Well,
I think that's how it has to happen.
Didn't Torrie always say that on previous that he thinks Novak's gonna he had thought that Novak would retire if he did at the Australian Open, right? I think he said something like that, but I don't want to put,
he did. I think I said that he was going to retire at the end of Wimbledon, like this year, but I was pretty far off on that one.
No, I was with you. I thought so too.
Okay,
but so we're both in the wrong. But I think Djokovic's best chance to get that last Grand Slam is in Australia. I mean, there is a lot of dynamic to the crowd that he has to deal with that actually works for him, because he's always better when he has this mixed strange brew going with the crowd. He's always at his best when it's are they for him or are they against him? And
Right.
he tends to bring that out. So, uh, but yeah, something does have to change fundamentally in the men's tour in order for us to get any sort of breakup in this case next year. And I look at the top 10 and I just don't see it unless Ben can come through with some sort of a different approach to best of five, because I think people get used to his serve. I think when I watch him play longer matches, he's still got that pop and he's still getting his easy points. But I do think there might be a pattern that I feel that some of the players do see that is hindering Shelton from getting to the top. So
Yeah. My only, I want to say pushback on that is like Ben is I've come around on how I view Ben Shelton
okay,
because he is so young. He's 22 and
he's
he's currently
22.
ranked 6th in the world,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
And
we won't
outside of
compare
his,
that to Alcaraz, right? So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, let's not, but let's
yeah,
not. But
yeah.
like from a standpoint of like progression, he is also 6 years away from his peak, and he is third year on tour, and he's a top 10 player. And U.S. Open retirement withstanding, he's been consistently losing to Jannik or Carlos in Grand Slams for the last 4 or 5 Grand Slams. So like his body of work to this point and level of progression to this point would make you think, okay, he's going to get incrementally better each year. So yeah, why not? Why is he not the best person? Why is he not best
True.
positioned? Um, he's got some work to do, but so does everyone else. But I'd rather
That's
have
it.
work to do and be 6th in the world as opposed to work to do and be 70 in the world, right? There's a
Yeah,
he's I the Ben Shelton argument is it's a real one. I think it's
yeah.
a real one.
Okay, yeah. I do think Shelton can break through pretty soon as long as he recovers fully. The shoulder, right? Is it the
Yeah,
left?
shoulder.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, his left shoulder. Yeah, yeah, that's a big one.
yeah. So
Let me ask you
sure.
this before we get out of here because I feel like we could stay here
Yeah.
all day. Um, you had mentioned that you might have you have the idea of walk up
No.
songs.
Oh, you brought that. Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
respond to it because I was like, oh no, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. So give me if you were going to present walk up songs for 4 players,
Okay.
your pick. Like
I
WWE entrance style, like
see.
or
See.
baseball walk up, like
I don't know. I feel like the songs that I choose are gonna totally label me as somebody who likes that type of music only. So I'm a little worried about me saying these, but I'll go for it. But
okay,
like with Medvedev, I've watched more matches of Medvedev, I'd say, in the last few years than almost anybody. I'd say, with the exception of Djokovic, Alcaraz, and Sinner, maybe. But maybe I've watched more. I just love watching Medvedev play. I love the way he figures things out. But I do think what would annoy his opponent, because his job is to annoy his opponent at this point, in order to get an advantage. I feel if he came out with this is, I think I'm the only one who finds this funny. You know, REO Speedwagon, roll with the changes, and there's this the cheesiness of that song, just the utter like, oh my god, is that really playing right now? And as he comes out, and I feel that would be my walkout song for Medi. It's just something that's late 70s, early 80s, real high pitched, and brings the crowd just feels um okay, here comes this guy. He's going to cause some chaos a bit, but it's all going to be
I
fun and
will.
games.
Let me
Yeah,
submit to you. Then I'll kick that one back to you.
sure.
Medvedev coming out to what does the fox say? Meow 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 meow. Like that's very high pitched and also annoying,
Oh,
which
yeah.
would also
Oh,
be very very Medvedev.
That I think that works much better now for how Medvedev has to play in order to win. I guess maybe roll with the changes would have been better like a couple years ago when he was still still getting the finals and stuff. That is a good one. Yes, I love that one. Yeah.
Let's do another one. I like this.
All
This
right.
is good.
All right. All right. Well, I think right now Sinner has earned this song. It's a little too predictable, but we got to go Hell's Bells, I feel. That's like a little bit of
Mm,
a little ACDC with Sinner. I Hell's no, we're not going there.
no, I
But
know. I think
yeah,
I think that's a fine choice. Um,
uh,
I'm thinking in that same vein, maybe
uh,
Into the Sandman.
yeah, yeah. I thought Enter Sandman too. I thought that too, but mm, yeah, I feel the bells at the beginning of that AC/DC song.
Yeah, I'm
It
with
just
you. I'm with you.
that hits a little more. And but because I have in the past I've told you like maybe when we're off recording that I do feel Sinner is like the incarnation of AI. Right, he is somebody that
It's a popular take. It's a
right.
very popular take.
So in that way, but Hell's Bells does fits him I think right now. But I don't. Yeah. Okay, if we, I don't know if we. I'm not ready to do Alcaraz yet, unless you are. But if you have something for Alcaraz, I don't yet. He's a bit. He's one thing or another. So I mean, I guess it could be
I
maybe.
can let's
All
go
right,
ahead. No, go
I
ahead.
got one. All right, it just popped into my head. So uh, I think Bohemian Rhapsody might be a pretty good one for him. But
Ooh, that's good.
yeah.
Like specifically the beginning. Like,
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah,
is this real life or is this just fantasy? Like, oh
yeah,
God, that's good.
yeah. Bohemian Rhapsody for Alcaraz. It comes out, and everyone's just like, "Yes, oh my god," and there he is. He's just blowing kisses or something. Just like you could just see Alcaraz playing to that song really well.
I was gonna go for Alcaraz. I'm gonna stick in this classic rock vein, which is not my go-to, but we're here. I'm gonna do
Ditto,
it.
actually. Yeah.
Um, Pinball Wizard.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
by
By the
Tom,
Who.
right?
Yeah.
By the Who, Tommy on the Tommy album. Yeah. Oh, I think playing the all right, yeah. Pinball Wizard works more for like those 500 level tournaments. I feel like when
Okay.
he's coming in and he's like, I'm just gonna make the crowd go wild with a few points, and then Pinball Wizard works just right in that regard.
Or Pokemon or the Pokemon theme song. Got to catch them all.
Ooh. Oh my, yeah, yeah. That see how flexible Alcaraz is. My
Yeah,
God, he's got so many.
this is a fun game.
Yeah, yeah. I think with I don't know. I'm not going to touch Djokovic at this point. But the younger crowd, I feel like this game is more appropriate for. But anyway,
I'll end with this
yeah.
one.
All right.
Ben Shelton,
Oh,
Real
okay. I
American
got.
Hero.
Oh yes, 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 yeah. Yeah. That's. I was gonna do like something Springsteen, like Born to Run or
Vor-
something like that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But I mean, I think that feels very Shelton-esque. But yeah, you got it. You got Shelton. You got
And
it.
I even thought of like for another one for
Mm.
Alcaraz would be like Michael Jackson's Off the Wall.
Oh, oh. I does he get
But like it
Jackson? Does
going
he get
into the
MJ yet? Yeah.
no, but it's like just like the idea of like
Mm.
in very U.S. Open style, like he's walking in,
Yeah.
it's a night match. Everyone leave your 9 to 5 up on the shelf and just come enjoy yourself.
That's it. That's it.
You're at the
Yeah.
show.
In that moment, absolutely. Yeah. I like
In
that.
that moment.
Yeah.
But let's put a pin in it there.
All right.
I like
I
I
didn't
like when we
expect you
have
to
these
bring that up.
conversations. You know what? That's why we do this
Yeah.
with no agenda. We just let it roll. But yeah, we'll put a pin in it there. I'm Alvin. That's Pat. We'll leave some of these gems for you in the comments. But yeah, like I'm supposed to ask you guys to do if you enjoy this type of these type of free flowing conversations, like, subscribe, whatever it is that you do to know that we're putting this stuff up on the regular. But yeah, with that, Pat, thank you, and best of three.
Thank
We
you.
are out.